That's us live. We'll just do the intro in a second once we just get the Instagram feed through. Yeah. Hello and welcome to the Permaculture Vine podcast, where we talk about permaculture projects and people. Today's show is about permaculture events. We've got Permaculture Canada and Creasol here with us. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hey.
Coming to you live
Hey,
from San Pancho in Mexico today.
Yeah, so quick round intros. Permaculture Canada, you two want to go first there?
Sure, yeah. I'm Lindsay, and
I am Human.
we're just reporting to you live from San Pancho, little surf town in Mexico. We are here to see a recycling center and have a meeting with a whole bunch of regenerative consultants that are going to be teaching people how to live off grid.
Class. Neil? Neil, do you want to do an intro?
Yeah, how's it going? I'm on. Yeah, can you?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So going good. I'm here at a conference. I was actually just speaking at this kind of conference of people on how we can kind of join forces and get more serious about saving the lake. And I'm in this beautiful retreat center on the edge of Lake Atitlan, looking out at the lake we're trying to save. But yeah, lots going on. Yeah, and I'm excited to be here.
Great stuff. Neil, there's a bit of background noise here. Could you just pause whenever you're not speaking or mute? That'd be great. Aaron, next.
How's it going, guys? My name is Aaron. I'm Neil's brother. I have no real background in permaculture, to be honest, other than doing 2 permaculture design courses with my brother and seeing his work. But I work in the field of storytelling, story creating, and nurturing creativity through story. And so this is kind of our final time of bringing a storytelling focus into what Neil does and trying to bring what we do with Candlelit Tales is my podcast, storytelling company and group. And we are very excited to get into stories that will help people co-create ecosystems and new myths for the future. Because we all need a few more positive myths because stories we're getting today are a bit shite. So yeah, happy to be here.
Welcome, guys. So today's show is about permaculture events. And just, I don't really have that much experience of permaculture events. I've been to a couple. I've been to the Permaculture Ireland one. Didn't really like it. It was too off the cuff for me. I like to have everything. I would like to know what I'm going to before. So that was a bit challenging for myself, but I managed to do a day. I think that's about the only one I've actually been to in person, and then the rest have been online. Do you want to do a round robin there about your experience of permaculture events? Lindsay, do you want to go first there?
Sure. Yeah, I've had quite a lot of experience with events in general, just putting on events, permaculture events. A little bit, I think that they're kind of just on the cusp of recreating themselves after that whole nasty thing that happened a few years ago. So there was a little bit of a lull in events that were created there, in-person events and whatnot. It was a lot of online events, but I do a ton of traveling and public speaking for conferences as well as, mycology festivals. I tend to get woven into other topics of events and then be like the permaculture person talking at that event. So that's some of the experience that I had. And then also looking forward to taking part in hopefully Thailand, 2026, working on that one right now. So, and then also, of course, co-creating with these fine fellows here really soon in Lake Atitlan, which we will get to talking all about, I'm sure, in a little bit. Neil, how about you? You're on mute, Neil, but you're next.
So I learned. I think I just unmuted myself. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good.
You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. So yeah, like I learned permaculture through events, right? Like that's how I cut my teeth as a teacher, and it, we did all kinds of different events because we did a lot of like farmer to farmer trainings in rural areas, which were very focused on like implementing these kind of like soil conservation techniques on the sides of mountains. And then I did a lot of permaculture design courses, especially when I was working with Shag Goodsey and Athlete Organics. And then when I started my own project and I got more into working in project management and design, I went away from teaching, I think, partly because I didn't want to deal with the anxiety of planning the event itself. I was kind of like, damn, if someone like can just put people in front of me, I'm so happy. But the anxiety around actually creating the event itself sort of stopped me doing too many more of them until recently. Um, we've done our second one of these events now with Adrian Grenier in Texas, and it just blew me away. Like it's almost like I forgot how powerful these things can be. And I also think that because I had really gotten much better as a designer and teacher, that sort of my skills to lead had kind of increased. And I suddenly realized like, wow, this is the ultimate way to create a really incredibly enriching educational experience, because what you see when you have people together in a group is the peer-to-peer learning is really where it's at. So if you just have people in front of you in a Zoom and you give them a talk and you give them all the information, and then like a bunch of, so again, here's a manual I created and here's more stuff, it's like they still don't get to really interact with each other and sort of like share light bulb ideas. So that that really blew me away, it and then also the amount of work you can get done is like is like incredibly gratifying. So those experiences with Adrian really like brought it home to me that this is like something I just love doing, and that's also like very good for the world. And then it's kind of where the idea came with, and when Aaron told me he was coming up, but this idea had come to us before, when Adrian and I were talking in Texas, and the conversation went in this direction of just the importance of storytelling. And it kind of took me a while to really fully get it, but as I sort of explored it, I was just like, oh wow, like the projects that I really see working, there's a couple of things happening. The person who's kind of like leading it or managing it or designing it or whatever has a really clear.
Oh, Neil's gone. He does not have stable internet.
Yeah. Aaron, do you want to go next there? Just what your experience of
Yeah,
your
sure. Why not? I'll fill in for the brother. We sound the same anyway. I used to answer the phone to especially Neil's ex-girlfriends, and pretend for as long as I could that I was Neil, until like they eventually copped on when I was like, "So what are you wearing?" That never really worked. I was always this close. I'm Neil's younger brother. I like taking notes on these calls. I'm looking down. I'm writing away. I'm an actor or storyteller. I work in events, live performance, and I've been doing that thing that Neil's been talking about of creating the anxiety, creating the events, hoping the audiences come. For the last 11 years, with my own storytelling company, Candlelit Tales. Luckily, my sister and a lot of brilliant musicians help create these events, and they're storytelling nights. They're nights where, either they're fundraisers, they're performances, they're collaborations, they're in festivals. But at the same time, it has led me into developing and having freedom to be an actor and audition and do that side of work. and then go deeper into my own yoga practice and retreats that lead me towards health, inspiring others, myself, and motivating me to create more. Because the world seems full of either lost people or creative individuals feeling lost in how to create something meaningful. And I took part in two of Neil's permaculture design courses when I was going out to visit him over the last, I think Neil's been out there for like 15, 16 years now. I don't know how long exactly, but a long time. And I, as his kid brother, I was always super fascinated with what he was doing, how he was doing it. And I've seen the progression of Neil kind of finding permaculture as almost a new religion and then kind of losing faith in that, then finding a new motivation for life and for living. And in some ways, he's been a kind of a bit of a beacon for me to not go down the career path, because he did it for a while till he jumped ship and made his own path. So I skipped it. I skipped 7 years of fucking trying to do something wrong and make my own mistakes with our own company. And I suppose that's what's really driven me towards creating this collaboration with Neil in Guatemala. And luckily, Ian's seen a few more amazing individuals before we get to it. I'm sure we'll discuss more, but what we've always been about is inspiring people. That's kind of what we looked at in terms of the hearth fire, where stories come from, what stories do, how to energetically move through emotions when you're stuck in them. And that's what mythology does. It inspires creative imaginations. And then that's how a lot of ways of fixing your life and the current situation can come from, just thinking of something new, unknown, and finding new ways of finding solutions. So I'm really interested with how storytelling is the building block upon everything and anything. First, like if you understand the story of why you're doing something, it's kind of easy to go down the avenue of stories just for screenplays and performances just. But if you're looking at storytelling as a whole and the importance of knowing either your own story, your own place in your own story, the archetypes for your own company, your own brand, your own business model, people jump out into the world without knowing their story. And the better people are at knowing their story, and I'm speaking from experience, the better I am able to speak with integrity and authenticity about the things that I'm passionate about. And I love showing people the fundamental principles that help storytelling, like help you understand kind of complex ideas, or how to distill complex ideas into very simple structures and play, because we forget to fucking play enough in the life. And so a lot of my events are just maybe not too serious. My side of things is maybe overlooked a lot of times, but I love getting down to the heart of a story. And that's kind of what this event that we're hopefully co-creating is about, is making a better story for us to share. So that's my experience with events. Neil, you cut out, so you're going to have to jump back in exactly where you left off.
Well, I have kids, so I'm good at doing that. So
Sweet.
Yeah, what I started to notice was that people who had a very clear story in mind of the life that they were trying to create for themselves were the ones who could kind of, with like the magic, they can magically like create these projects. Because actually getting a permaculture project off the ground, it does require a bit of magic. And what I really started to realize working with Adrian was, I was like, what he decided to do, the reason I started to work with him, because it's similar to what I started to do, and it's always what I go back to when things aren't going so well for me, is decide on how you want to live your life and just start living that way now. Right? Like, so and it's very much what I have in mind with this event when I think of like working with Lindsay and Aaron and a couple more people. It's, well, to share skills and approaches, but also for all of us to get like clearer on what on telling the story of what we want our lives to mean and be about, and then in a way get better at like retelling and feeling that story, and like noticing when we're in it and when we're doing it properly. So that's, and it's just becoming a part of, as a designer, it's just starting to become I know that it's going to become it's going to come to the forefront of my work, is working is helping my clients to better tell that story of what this project really is, and using that as like the North Star to guide everything they do. So I'm really excited about it, and I'm really excited just to see what happens if we can get a bunch of people into a space. That's the other thing about it, like, you get a bunch of people in space, we've some shared objectives, like some shared projects we're going to build and do together, and that's going to be one of the ways of learning. But we're really going to do everything we can as a group to create the most creative container possible, right? Like, so let's eat organic food every day. Let's like get up early and do yoga and meditate and have ice baths and like encourage each other and say yes and like just be like, holy shit, like what if we all started using our creativity and getting into like a good space, and then like seeing what co-creation could actually look like if we sort of like took it seriously in a way. So that's, and this is a one, like this, we've never done this before. It's a new, I don't know anyone else who's done a.
We can get to the event in a way. We're just sort of what was your experience up to now?
Sorry, I'm going ahead.
But it's all right. So
I nearly did that too. I had to pull myself back as well. Yeah, that wasn't the question. Whoops.
That's all right. Well, we'll get there. So why do these events matter? Anybody want to take that? So why do permaculture events matter in the grand scheme of things?
I'll jump in and just say, oh shit. I was going to very quickly say events of coming together knit society together, and we're at a very fractured point, like across the world, where events of meaning and purpose are not really co-created very easily. And it's hard to find authentic people doing practical, engaging, well, nurturing things as well. And everybody knows nature is a cure, and everybody knows they kind of want a set of skills to help them live their lives, but they don't always marry. And for me, story is about understanding what it is you want to believe in. You can choose the stories to believe in. It massively shapes your reality. So if you understand a few fundamental stories, especially about ecology, the world, and how you see your place in it, creating events where people can attain as inspiration, I think, is massively important. But that's just my 2 cents. I was going to cut you off, so you go ahead.
Well, my experience with permaculture events, I've gone to quite a lot of different farms at a young age, and it inspired me from the public stuff that we were doing. I started hosting events myself called Eat, Share, Learn, Dance. And in these Eat, Share, Learn, Dance, each one of the words pretty self-explanatory. I asked everybody to bring a culturally significant dish for the eat part. That was kind of a potluck scenario. We really got to try the different foods of the different cultures of the people who came to the event. I really believe you are what you eat. So when I see that you're eating cabbage rolls, I can tell you maybe behave a little Ukrainian. And then after we were done eating and our bellies were full, we would start sharing. As it was almost kind of like a work circle. We had a bit of an event board I would keep track of. Sometimes I had a secretary that kept track of things. And I would witness immediate results. One person was building a fence so that they could keep some of their farm animals in, and they needed someone to paint that fence. Another person was a fence painter who was looking for work. And I think the next day they got all of that sorted out. And after all of that part was done, we would have some dance performances and just kind of shake loose and relax. And it was a great way to get to know your neighbor. Sometimes your best resources are the people that's around you. And that's where I really like to go to events. As we're traveling here right now, I find one of the best things we're doing when we go to new places is to go to an event. And then at these events, we can meet the local people and learn information. So we even kind of just created an event earlier today. We went down to the beach, we set up some DJ equipment, and just started playing music on that spot in the beach for the next couple hours, and met some locals, some people walking 5 or 6K from one town over, some surfers. And these people are super engaging. I didn't even ask about what's going on in the water, but they told me a bunch of stuff. So now I know if I want to go in the water, I should tread lightly because there's stingrays.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that networking piece, really. For events, for me, it's that alive movement between people, and it's just immediate, right? One thing leads to another. There's a lot of synchronicity going on, and there's a lot of potential to, share information between people.
Great stuff. We already touched on the role of storytelling. So, barriers and challenges to hosted events. I know particularly I think it's been meant with the international permaculture convergence. I think it was in Taiwan last year, and there was some debate around having to travel so far. Like, should you be traveling thousands of miles to go to these events? Any other challenges hosting and attending events? Anybody jump in there?
Well, I'm actually talking with the Iceland Festival right now. So hearing about Eclipse Festival and the events there and what the challenges are is managing the people and creating an experience that people desire. So it's more about like infrastructure and things like that. Like, do they have the infrastructure for the people? Are they prepared for the amount of people that are coming? Do they have enough water? Are they able to empty their outhouses quick enough? These are the sorts of things that I've seen a lot of on lots of events.
Yeah. I mean, food is usually the biggest one, I think, in events and retreats. I've been brought in on a few different retreats this year. Most recently, we were doing a collaboration with a group in Scotland, and again, luckily that they had some local cooks, but there was just like, that was the biggest thing that everyone was most grateful for, was the fact that there was a team sorting out the food on a daily, consistent basis. Because you don't want cranky people to really do the work there. Because it's energy too is another one which is difficult to manage, and food gives you energy. So as long as the food good, it should be off to a good start.
Well, that's hopefully where this event can set itself apart somewhat. I feel like we're very, very well set up to host and feed people, because we're doing it across 2 sites. So we've got our space, which is, we have a really nice restaurant, and then right next door is Love Probiotics, so they have a food fermentation lab, and we grow a hell of a lot of food. So, I feel really good about that. I feel really good about the space in terms of like just like a vortex. And but going back to the original question, Cormac, like why are these events important? All the reasons that were already stated. But there is just this magic element of what can happen when you get all these energy meeting, and it's really, when you think about with specific regard to permaculture, like events are kind of cool anyway, but like with specific regard to permaculture, it really is, the work is in the initial setup of these permanent systems, right? Like, once someone like helps you to flatten out a terrace or build a greenhouse, or plant an orchard and build a chicken house in it. Like, these are systems that can be maintained reasonably, reasonably well, but like the initial input to get them set up is so massive, and they're really good things to learn how to do. So, it really is just a great way of helping people to learn, and helping landowners to get like useful stuff done, helping big amounts of trees to get planted. It's a hell of a lot more gratifying planting trees when while you plant one, there's 40 more being planted, you know, or for every one you plant, 40 more are going to get planted. And so, like, that sort of sense of like the sense of satisfaction at having worked together towards an outcome is massive, and it really connects people. I think it really inspires people. So I just think they're so important.
Yeah, and to jump in again, Cormac, on Neil reminded me of like work with the Gaelic Woodland Project here. Not a permaculture group, but a reforestation group that I'm heavily involved in and have been in. That idea of all coming together. There's a weird aspect of collaborative storytelling. We're all just engaging in, like, one day this will be a forest. It will commemorate the famine. It's 11 acres now and it's reforested. We're hoping to get like the story of reforesting Ireland properly is being thought about by a group of people who are madly into it and pushing that idea. But unless the story is kind of concrete and created and then co-created and added to, it's not going to fucking happen. And I don't know, Lindsay, I'd love to hear your approach, because I know you, like, everybody's a storyteller, but I know you work with story and permaculture quite a lot in your work as well. So you've kind of been utilizing this idea of manifestation, maybe, or seeing in order to work in. But I'd love to hear your point of view and how you integrate, story and permaculture.
Yeah, sure. And I'll be quick, Cormac, because I'm sure you have another question too. But
sorry, work away.
Yeah, no, working with people, like, really trying to see the person in front of me, what they're really after me for. That's an investigative thing to do on its own, to really get to the heart of what the person is hoping for, because I think there's an element of intimacy that takes place when you get to know somebody, and when you don't get that right off the bat, right? So there's this, like, relationship cultivation that you have in order to get to the heart of their story first. So that's something that comes to mind when you ask me that question first and foremost, is like, there's actually some work that has to be done there to truly connect with the person that you're talking to. I know, Neil, when I was on that call with you very briefly with the one person, I didn't have a lot of time to do that with, but looking for key words in the words that they do share with you kind of gives you that glimmer into their story. And then, going down this investigative path to be like, oh, well, they mentioned that. Now, why would they mention that? And kind of like dig a little further. So I feel like it's a little bit of following this cookie crumble path. And I think you're absolutely right that there's this element of, like, the magical or the mystical, the synchronous events, I guess, where I try to look for these sorts of things. And it's very intuitive for me. Maybe not for everybody, but this is how I work with the people. And then with the earth, that's another beautiful mystical experience as well, where you put yourself in these spaces and you have to get quiet enough just to be an observer outside of yourself to read the story of the land. So I feel like they're very different experiences, but also trying to get to a similar place. It's like, well, what is the land telling me now? Right? And we don't have words coming out of the land to tell us. So we have to use our observational skills to look at elements of the land to be able to read the story. And I love that as a permaculturalist. There's nothing better than doing a firsthand site visit, putting your body in this space and just attuning yourself to what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're sensing. It's a very present experience.
Can I add a little something to that?
Sure.
Well, I've been working silviculture for quite a long time, so I spend probably as much time with humans as I do with trees. And humans have a way of talking with words, like what we're doing right now. I also have some body language that I'm using. Trees don't necessarily say too much with words. They use a lot of body language. And if you spend enough time hanging out with trees, you'll notice that there's some friends leaning on top of each other. They didn't want their friend to fall over and rot, even though the mushrooms are hoping that they could eat them. You know, everything in there has kind of got a little bit of a story going on. And I feel like each one of these plants that we work with is kind of incorporating a little more of a depth to a story. Like, I love morning glories. They're beautiful, but if you put them in your garden, they will choke out everything else to be beautiful. You know, it's got a story of its own. It's trying to share.
I was afraid you meant something else there for a moment.
Just these cute little purple flowers I'm seeing everywhere here in Mexico.
Right, yeah, purple flowers.
Right.
I got you. Sure, that's whatever. Because like, yeah, me too, man. I mean, no.
So
Purple flowers.
just one last question now before we go on to the sort of the event you're hosting. So, Lindsay, I'm always amazed that you go to all these events speaking,
Love it.
and it's like this goes for everybody as well. How do you get, for those who are listening, how do you get to speak at these events and teach at these events? Do you wait for an invite, or do you have to go and explore?
I apply to them. I explore. I have been invited as well. So like people reach out to me on LinkedIn and just see the work that I'm doing, or they'll see maybe some YouTube channels or whatnot. But I apply for them. So I find an event that, you know, where you send me things too. Like, here you go, you're apply to this, right? You know, I'll just see, you know, with Peter McCoy with Rad Mycology Fest. I just saw a short he put up, and I was like, hell yeah! If I can go meet Peter McCoy, I'd love to, and just throw in my application right away. I don't waste any time. I'm not a procrastinator, so I just go for it. And yeah, if I want to do it, I put energy into it, and then it goes.
Any more thoughts for anybody else there? How do you get to these events?
I tend to get invited to speak at a lot of things these days in Guatemala, possibly because there's not a huge number of people doing permaculture here. But it's starting to kind of catch on. And there's then, I mean, this event that's coming up, it's like, well, you got to take off your permaculture teacher and speaker hat and your storyteller hat and put on your event promotion and organizer hat if you really, because that's the thing, it's like there's getting invited to speak at events and there's curating your own, like exactly like you really want it to be, and then that requires learning some new skills.
Yeah, it's similar to the live the life you wanna see going on, may be the change you want to see in the world. Like, do it first yourself. You know, that was the first tip I got from, you know, an old actor. If you want to be an actor, go act, get a play, put it on. If you want to be in permaculture courses, put one on, learn it, do it, invite people to it, and then you'll just do more of it. And if you're doing it, you'll get more of it. Oftentimes you have to make it yourself. And when it comes to something that's not done before, and you know, I know a handful of people in Ireland doing permaculture walks. Buddy of mine, and Neil loves him too, in Meath. Chris McCormick, he's doing, no, Chris, fuck, anyway, he does walks in permaculture, like foraging talks and just little handfuls of stuff, but he's putting it on himself, and you know, that just increases people's awareness of permaculture principles, and the little amount of information can go a long way just to encourage people to look a bit further at it. And when it comes to making events that are multidisciplinary and have lots of aspects to it, and it's a kind of an all-rounding thing that we're trying to do together with, with a lot of amazing people, then yeah, you just have to do it yourself. And that's kind of still where I'm at with a lot of the live shows we put on. It's like, I want to do something deadly with an aerial performer and musicians and a flute player and a fiddle player. And well, fuck, I know all those people, so I'll just call them and get them all to do it, and it's great. And then it leads on to more cool shit usually. And if it doesn't, it just, it's probably a nice experience. But that's what I think we're all hoping that this will be, is not just a fun experience and a very interesting way to spend 2 weeks, but something that's hugely rewarding and can lead on to more exciting ways of developing these mutual skills that all these amazing people have, and seeing what the fuck happens when you put a lot of legends together.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we want to be getting invited to speak at schools where they use permaculture design and storytelling to help change the whole world, but nobody's made the connection between these two things yet, or not really. So that's what we're doing.
Flagship event, that's the thing about kind of doing something like it makes sense because, hey, we're siblings. It's you started leaning more and more into understanding story. I've been I tipped my toe into permaculture for a while, but never really massively got involved in it. You met the likes of Lindsay there and our partner, and they've been listening to the land speak their stories and kind of intertwine it. And I know there's lots, and even what blows my mind is something you mentioned recently on a chat to your blood probiotics lady. Culture. What does culture even mean? And I've been trying to define this co-creative idea of Irish culture and where it comes from, the stories that have made up this culture, and what is a culture other than something that's been there a long time. And you need that for a sourdough start, as you do need it for a kombucha start, and that's just something that is continuously fed and kept alive and kept going. And that's what the oral traditions of any culture are doing. They're repeating wisdom from generations ago, being fed by new generations and kept alive and kept nurtured and kept tended. And then you have this really, beautiful SCOBY, and you're like, oh, that's a culture. So there's relationship between mythology, as madly as it sounds, to fermentation and permaculture principles that you might not have thought of initially. So I'm just excited to pick at those threads and see what we can weave together. Yeah.
right, we've teased a lot about this event. Does somebody want to just take it away from the start? What is the event? Where is it happening? What is it? Is it a course, a weekend? What is it? Who wants to take that on?
I'll take that on because
yeah.
I'll take that on because I'm a little bit worried about my internet connection, but it's good right now. So, starting on the 4th of January, for 2 weeks, we're doing a fully certified permaculture design course. We're doing it in partnership with these guys, Candlelit Tales, Permaculture Canada, and also it's being hosted between our farm and Love Probiotics. So we have organic farm table restaurant and a food fermentation lab, and between both sites we have really nice accommodation and a yoga deck. And the focus, just like with every permaculture design course, the focus is on producing a design project at the end. But these design projects are going to be different because rather than people coming and us giving them a blank site in our community to design, we want people to bring actual projects that they're designing. They don't have to be physical land projects, they can be lifestyles or business, and we want them to combine storytelling and permaculture to do so. All of the stuff that we're teaching, all of the theory and the practical stuff, the goal is to really make it as empowering as possible. So we're going to transform a small area of the farm. We're going to plant a syntropic food forest, put a composting chicken house in the middle of it. We're going to show people how to get set up breeding, fermenting the grain to bring down the input, and how to breed soldier flies and insects so that you have the lowest possible compost producing, food producing chicken house stuck into a food forest. And then we're going to do just a small little bit of like bio-intensive gardening. So we're going to show people how you can use then that compost to plant annual vegetables. And all together, we'll plant like a big diversity of foods, ones that we know do really well here. And then we'll be taking all those foods like spinach, chard, beets, carrots, tomatoes, taro root, eggs, chicken, and a bunch of other things. And Michelle is going to teach us Michelle and another chef friend of mine is going to teach how to transform it, ferment it, generally elevate it, generally turn it into medicine. And then as well as that, we're going to do workshops on mushroom cultivation, natural building. Am I leaving anything out? And yeah, and the whole, like really, but the whole thing is going to be geared to supplying people with inspiring, stimulating information, creating the type of container that's as supportive and conducive to the enhancement of creativity possible, and really getting everybody geared towards leaving with a completely different vision for what the next few years of their life looks like.
Great stuff. And so that's, is there any like theory they do before they arrive?
Yeah, so I have an online permaculture design course, and anyone who follows my Instagram will know that I'm also working on a whiteboard animated 1 hour permaculture design course, because I actually think that people overcomplicate the theory behind this stuff tremendously. And so, but there's a huge amount of theoretical stuff on our website that people get for free. All of the theory that we're teaching will be given with like note packs, so people don't have to write it down and they can focus on learning it by actually doing it, right? So the plan is to, spend less than 20 to 30% of the time in classrooms, and spend it much more out in the field and doing essentially what are creative improv sessions. So, but that includes like design sessions, brainstorming sessions, improv sessions, performance sessions, all of that kind of stuff. So we want to make it very, very, very didactic and really appeal to all the different learning styles that people have.
Yeah, just to clarify that note on improv and performance. I suppose that'll be a kind of one of the aspects of practicing to listen in order to be a better storyteller. Like it's hard to take a lot of information in, and there's a lot Neil's already said and covered there. And yeah, I'm thinking, Jesus, 2 weeks. But like there's a lot of practical aspects to it. And if we're sitting down listening to it a lot, it gets a bit too much to take in. So the improvisation, the storytelling aspects, it's a break from just receiving, and it's time to put the stuff into practice so you can channel it. And there's an iterative aspect of theory, practice, practical engagement, re-going over theory in order to enhance the aspect of performance that then enhances over time. And it's just a bit of fun, and it seems like a bit of fun, but then it can lead towards story nights, performance nights, and that takes the kind of the creative mind a little bit of kind of space to chew on all this heavy theoretical permaculture stuff that will be, if it's new to people, maybe a bit overwhelming in 2 weeks, but it should sink nicely in with that iterative style of learning and the capacity to retell and engage with it in an imaginative space as well. So I'm kind of hopeful that this level of improvisation in storytelling will also kind of really engage people with how do you help think about problems and solutions in a more kind of creative way. So yeah.
Yeah, I like what you say about that. In terms of integrating knowledge, we see that in books all the time, right? We have a concept and then they give stories as examples, right? And I think that taking this maybe dry knowledge, we'll say, and then having people, describe their experience, that's also going to help people remember. I feel like people can remember information more when there's some contextual story around it where they can visualize this picture in their mind instead of just receiving information and data, which is very dry. It doesn't really promote imagery in the mind. I think that aspect of storytelling allows people to bring in their own contextual images that relate to whatever story is being told. Draws in the senses a little bit more.
Nice.
Maybe have a dance
Yeah,
party
and
in the
one other
garden
thing I'd
too.
like to mention, because I am actually we're gonna do a lot of we're gonna play a lot of music and have just a lot of fun. Like, so a big part of it is just gonna be like lighting a fire in the evening and, playing music, telling stories, getting silly, sharing. To me, those are like the really magical times that you can't online. And the other interesting thing about is it's available. We're doing this one through the gift economy. I reread these books recently by Charles Eisenstein, and it just re-inspired me to, like, stop making money the holy grail. And it was actually, when I first talked to it was Lindsay that kind of inspired me to do this, because I talked to her and we got really excited about doing a course. And then I reached out to her about a month or two ago, and I was just like, Lindsay, I haven't been able to do any promoting. I'm worried that I won't be able to pay you if you come down here. And she was just like, I want to come down. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about doing everything. Like, I want to help you. And I was just like, oh, wow, that's so nice. Like, and so we want to help people who want to learn this stuff, people who want to, like, get out there and start becoming, like, positive force on the planet. We want to help you. So really, anyone who comes with that spirit of, I want to help and here's how I can help, we want to try and make this into a special and really unique event following that model. So I'm really sorry I got delayed at this conference, and my iPad's going to die, so I'm going to jump out of this chat early before I get, like, unceremoniously dumped out by my laptop dying. But Cormac, you'll share all the details there through our Instagram or website is the easiest way. Just send us a message, but also these guys will be sharing about it as well. So can't wait to see you guys soon. Thank you,
Awesome. Can't wait in.
That's funny. We're also getting a warning of our battery dying. We just ran and got like a portable battery, but hopefully we don't get unceremoniously kicked out either.
I think we're good. It's charging.
Okay.
So yeah. No, I think Neil's very excited about the idea of, and already two of my buddies are coming. They're like, "Fuck it, this sounds great. I want in." I've already heard from other friends who are like, "Are you doing it again next year? Because then I can make it." So I really do think, like I've been saying to Neil for basically all this year, that all right, I'm going to come out in winter and we'll do something together. And we didn't really identify what that thing was that we would do together, but it just slowly kind of formulated, and this is just the perfect way to kind of make that work. And with Lindsay, with her probiotics next door, with the Fungi Academy down the road, it's kind of an amazing space. Like, I love Lake Etitlán. I can't wait to spend January in Guatemala. Clearly, other people are like, "Fuck that! Let's go to Guatemala." So, if anybody watching this is like, "Fuck it, I'm going to Guatemala," just like reach out. I think there's obviously like there will be costs for accommodation and food, but the general idea is if you have something to give back to this course, reach out. We don't want to make it exceptionally hard for people. There's already travel and getting down there, but there's just a really interesting group already gathering. I can't wait for my buddies to meet my brother and my brother to meet my buddies. It's going to be great. So I'm super excited to meet whoever else is going to come to this, because when a group of interesting, and I just know I'm speaking from the people I know on this course already. I haven't even met Lindsay or your partner, whose name I didn't get, by the way. I'm very sorry. So you have to introduce yourself.
Human.
What is it?
Human.
Human. Okay. Amazing. The screen has tiny writing for the name up there, so I'm like, I don't know what that says. But yeah, I can't wait to meet you guys and see how we can kind of co-create something and bounce off each other and see what happens in the space. And yeah, I'm excited. It'll be lovely.
Us too.
Yeah, so it's basically a bunch of people gathering. You pay your accommodation, you pay obviously you say food costs, but then after that it's just like pitch in, help some way. And
Yeah, I think the gift economy is the idea of giving back to the thing itself. So that will all be kind of pitching in our own ways, but if it's of value if it seems of value and you have something of value to offer, then I'm sure Neil can figure out how to slot you in. He's the brains behind this operation, and no doubt it'll be a gorgeous community coming together. So I'm excited.
Great stuff. So that's Creasol Permaculture on Instagram.
Creasol on Instagram. And it's Candlelit Tales is the name of mine, and you guys are
Permaculture Canada and armagarden.world. But I think the best contact to reach out in terms of attending the event would be to reach out to Neil at Creasol, because he's kind of got the pulse on everybody, so he knows what kind of container he's holding there on his farm. But yeah, you can always reach out to either of us as well.
Yeah, we'll be sending you to Neil.
And I'll
reach out by all means. Reach out.
Absolutely.
I can always give his Neil email address as well if you want to reach me. Just put it in the comments. Guys, thanks very much. You want to just do a final goodbye there? Final thoughts?
Yeah, sure. Next time we'll be live actually at Lake Atitlan. So that'll be pretty cool to be on site there, because we'll be traveling for the next 4 months as we evade Canada's winter. So next month is Guatemala.
Great stuff.
Yep. Similar. I'm in Ireland right now. I'm traveling next week. I'm going to fly into Mexico and travel down to Guatemala. Very excited to be visiting my family over there, and also start really seeing how this can all come together. We have the dates locked in. Some fantastic people already signed up, and it's going to evolve. And as it does, I'm just so excited. So we'll certainly be putting out a little bit more information about it online, and trying to get people excited about it. So yeah, spreading the word would be interesting, and very much appreciated. So that's all from me.
That's great. And that's been the Permaculture Vine podcast. And we'll see you all soon. Cheers.
Thanks so much, Cormac.
Hey.
Thanks so much.